Welcome to the Advanced Computer Solutions presentation on disaster preparedness and coming up with a disaster plan, how to protect your business. I'm Albert Steed. I'm the president of Advanced Computer Solutions. I want to thank you for attending and listening and looking forward to showing you how we can all get together and prepare for disasters and keep our businesses healthy and thriving. Here's the broad topics we're going to cover today. The different types of disasters, the potential impacts, the benefits of preparing, and an action plan, how to develop an action plan, and then best practices from an IT perspective of dealing with a disaster. So every disaster is different, and so we must have preparations for each type. The various forms of disasters your business can face are natural disasters, so this would be hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, wildfires, and anything that can damage your IT infrastructure or even your office or the place where your team works from, or anything that could even disrupt communications. This includes things like the phone system or even power delivery. Is the power on at the office? Can you do work without power? Things that lead to data loss and downtime or revenue loss. So I have a story about natural disasters. I have a good friend who went through Hurricane Ian last summer, in the summer of 2022, and he basically was stuck with no office, no power, no place to work from for weeks as they rebuilt and got those things turned back on. He picked up stakes and drove across the state to Miami. He was in Fort Myers and had to work from Miami for several days. I would say even more than a week. So natural disasters do happen, and he had a plan. He had it all ready to go so that when it hit, he was ready to service his customers. Another thing that can happen is something we are all very familiar with, health threats. We've just got through a time in history where we were unable to do lots of our business because of the pandemic. So we have infectious diseases and other illnesses. So if you have a key employee, if they get sick, what happens? How do we work with our clients? How do we keep our business going? And lastly, cyber attacks. So this is a very popular one for us to talk about, something that we at Advanced Computer Solutions deal with daily, and that's phishing, malware, ransomware attacks that can compromise your IT systems and destroy your data. It can lead to data theft and downtime and financial loss. So let's jump into the different types of disasters. Just some highlights or lowlights, as it were. Power outages, grid failures. So this could be from natural disasters. This could be just a substation blowing up. Critter got in there and caused it to explode. And these can interrupt your IT operations. So this reminds me of a story of a time when I was working in a call center for an internet service provider, and we're all sitting there doing our thing, serving up internet to all of our happy customers, when all of a sudden we hear this loud bang coming from outside of the building. We walk outside, take a look at the parking lot across the street, and there's a semi that had basically wrapped itself around a line that was used to support a telephone pole, and he didn't see it, and he had turned into this wire, and he had pulled down, from far as we could see, dozens of power lines. The poles were broken at the top. Well, this took the power out for a long time. They had to go and replace several poles, and it was a disaster. So at the end of the day, we did not have a good disaster plan for this situation. We ended up renting a generator that took hours and hours to show up. We had to really kind of play with what equipment we could run and not run off the generator. And this strikes me and sticks with me and has stuck with me for over 20 years, the story of just what you have to do to be prepared for a power outage. Equipment failures, so server crashes or network failures from hardware malfunctions. These happen no matter how much you try to protect yourself from this. Servers crash, firewalls fail, and you need to be ready for when that happens. Do you have spare equipment? Do you have backups? How much downtime is enough downtime? How much is too much? And how's it going to affect your revenue? And then we have the most popular, which is human-caused hazards. So this would be, accidents. Somebody, trips over the server and breaks it. Somebody spills something. But more commonly, you're going to see human-caused hazards from employees being malicious. We have a client that had a employee that went basically AWOL, disappeared, and that employee had all of the passwords, all the account information, and it was really hard to get them back up and running so that they could take phone calls, so that they could reply to emails, and that could be a really big deal. So you've got to be really prepared for employees leaving or going rogue. All right, potential impacts on business. No matter what type of business or what type of disaster your business faces, you'll have the capability of impacting your operations. So you got to be ready for this and be ready for how it's going to impact your business. One important thing to think about is when you have a disaster, what is the risk to your employees? Are you going to ask them to do things that are not normal for them to do? Are they going to have to climb ladders? Are they going to have to carry heavy materials, servers, or if you sell stuff, potentially hauling large amounts of the products that you sell around, and that is on top of, okay, so we have a major blizzard. Is it safe for them to drive on the roads? We have a hurricane. Is it safe for them to stay where the business is? What are we going to do to protect our employees? So in the event of a data loss or a breach, you can lose valuable data due to natural or man-made disasters. A security breach triggered by a cyber attack can cause data loss and heavy financial losses for your business. Infrastructure and inventory damage. Natural disasters can damage office buildings, inventory. IT infrastructure such as server rooms and data centers also can get damaged and impact business operations. Business interruptions. We'll have things like lost working days because people can't get to the office or they're sick. Increased downtime and productivity loss due to interruptions can cause major chaos and destabilize your business. Financial losses and increased expenses. You're going to have damage to property, inventory. Disruption to the supply chain can cause heavy financial losses to the extent that some small businesses may have to shop, may have to close the business. Organizations also witness a spike in expenses due to increased spending on repair or medical costs or supply chain disruptions. And then reputational damage. So if you have a data breach and that interruption directly affects your customers, it can hurt your organization's reputation. Businesses not only lose customers, but also end up incurring heavy compliance penalties. So you got to be really careful about what is your responsibility from a compliance standpoint, and how's that going to affect you and your customers should you have an issue. All right. Disaster preparedness plan aims to implement measures that help prepare for and reduce the effects of disasters. Having a disaster preparedness plan is critical for your business because a plan does the following. It ensures business continuity. The most significant benefit of disaster preparedness for IT security is that it ensures critical systems and data are available and secure during or after a disaster. Protects against data loss. While it's easy to replace software and hardware, data loss is irreplaceable. If the data is gone, you can't replace it. Hardware, that's a little easier. A crucial part of disaster preparedness is regularly backing up data. It ensures your data is protected from loss following a disaster or a cyber attack. It reduces recovery time. You can reduce your losses if you're able to resume operations as quickly as possible. Disaster preparedness helps reduce the recovery time after disaster or cyber attack. It limits unexpected expenses. Businesses with efficient disaster preparedness plans have contingency measures to avoid unexpected expenses resulting from natural disasters or cyber attacks. You avoid reputational damage. A disaster preparedness plan ensures recovery time is shorter after an interruption. It also establishes mitigation plans in case of a breach to save your organization from reputational damage. Improves compliance. Running into compliance woes can be disastrous for your organization. Businesses with disaster preparedness plans ensure they comply with IT industry and regulatory standards for IT security. All right. So here's the where the rubber hits the road. The steps yet to create a plan. So first step is identify likely threats. Just list out the disasters that are most likely to hurt your business. Always IT security. So having some kind of uh, stolen of data or some kind of um, breach of security, that should be at the top of the list because that can affect everybody. Not everybody has hurricanes, not everybody has blizzards, but everybody's at risk for IT security disasters. Develop a plan, assign roles and responsibilities to your employees for disaster management and containment. Prepare evacuation policy, emergency contact and inventory list, and communication and response procedures. Define an acceptable recovery time for critical business functions. So this is a big one. So if you have, server backup, how long do you expect that server to get back online? So you might want to talk to your IT provider and see what is the solution that's in place and how quickly can we expect to be back online if we have a failure. If your expectations are that it's 15 minutes, but it's going to be 4 days, well, that's going to have to be talked about. If your expectations that it's going to be 4 days and it's 15 minutes, all right, well, maybe we're good. Maybe we don't need to talk about it. Implement and train. Prepare the disaster preparedness plan well in advance, anticipating the unexpected. So sit back and brainstorm. Regularly train your employees on evacuation plans, their roles during an emergency, and procedures to access critical assets and inventories. Consistently back up your business's sensitive data. Regularly test and update the plan. Annually test and review the preparedness plan to keep it up to date. And I'll add, do periodic restores of your servers and your data to make sure that your backups are working. All right, every business needs a robust disaster preparedness plan in IT security to minimize the loss brought on by the disaster. Adopting the following best practices will ensure you have a solid disaster plan. Implement robust security measures, ensure you have firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and encryption in place to safeguard IT infrastructure and data. Routinely update software patches and check the system for security vulnerabilities. Back up critical data regularly. Store your business critical data securely off-site and in the cloud. Well, it'd probably be better to say in the cloud because that's already off-site. Routinely test your data backups to ensure they are safe and easily retrievable. And then conduct regular employee training. Improve your employee awareness regarding phishing attempts and other scams. Educate them to recognize and report suspicious activities. Encourage a culture of preparedness that follows security protocols. Also consistently test your employee awareness. All right. Review insurance policies. You know what? Almost nobody's insured enough. It's a good practice to take the help of an insurance professional to ensure you have adequate coverage for potential risks and disasters. Test and improve disaster preparedness plan. Regularly test the preparedness plan to identify and address gaps in the process. Periodically perform routine maintenance of your IT systems to prevent unexpected system failures. Assess vendor preparedness. Ensure your supply chain vendors have contingency and communication plans in case of disruption. So develop a robust disaster preparedness plan that ensures business continuity and growth even after disaster. Contact us today at Advanced Computer Solutions to secure your business against calamities and things you can't control. Again, I'm Albert Steed. I'm the president of Advanced Computer Solutions. I can be reached at al@acsapp.com, or the phone number is 231-933-6333, extension 1000. And if you're an Advanced Computer Solutions client and you want to know what ways we're covering you for disaster, I would highly recommend that you reach out, because we really have to have these conversations with you to be able to let you know where you're protected and where you may need to increase your protection depending upon your business situation. If you have never heard of a disaster preparedness plan and you don't know where to start, definitely reach out. We'd love to help. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Thank you.